Welcome to rSlash Topposts, where OP's husband is addicted to NBA cards. Our next Reddit post is from Conscious Shine. My husband and I have been married for 5 years with a 3-year-old daughter, and my husband's card hobby is killing our marriage. For background, last year, he started getting into wanting a hobby/business, and he's buying and selling NFL and NBA cards, which he started after having gambling issues with roulette virtually. He ended up hiding how much he was spending, putting at least $8,000 on credit cards in 2 to 3 months without him selling any cards. I'm the breadwinner in the family as well. I make approximately $7,200 a month post-taxes, and he makes about $4,000 post-taxes monthly. Before having the hobby, he also bought a $90,000 car with a $1,745 car payment because it made him happy, although I said that it wasn't a good idea. Due to the spending issue and other factors like him having anger issues, I filed for divorce last year. He said that he would quit the hobby and sell all his things, do therapy, and change. I canceled the divorce and stayed to work on the marriage with a marriage counselor. We did sessions, but over time, he hasn't felt like they've been necessary. We now have $72,000 in debt consolidation because of cards, his past gambling, as well as multiple different things. 1 year later, he's now into his hobby again and has already put about $800 on credit cards. He's trying to use TikTok or whatnot to do a game platform and make money. His philosophy is you have to spend money to make money. Like, for example, he wanted to buy $1,000 worth of packs of unopened cards to try to sell them. When I explained that I'm not a fan of this hobby, he says I can't ever let him have a hobby, and I'm glad it's not golf because he would never be home. I honestly feel like this is not going to end well. We've tried splitting finances, but that wasn't the best, as he wasn't always able to pay me back for his half of the mortgage or our daughter's school. I really just don't think this marriage is going to last unless I support this hobby and let him buy and spend on whatever he thinks is necessary. Then OP posted an update. I met with my own lawyer today and found a house for my daughter and I. I'm going to start moving out this weekend as well as file the papers. There's been great relief knowing that I'm no longer going to be in this marriage. I'm so happy I finally stood up for my daughter and myself and happy to start my new life. We will still be amicable as it's in our daughter's best interest, and I want him to be a part of her life. I do believe that this is the best for her. Yo, that's not a hobby, that's a straight up gambling addiction, or just addiction in general. Or maybe not even gambling, just addicted to spending money, addicted to the high that he feels whenever he buys something he wants, and he just spends over and over and over. $90K on a car is bonkers. Our next Reddit post is from Random Redhead. My sister and I have always been close. Every year, she spends Christmas Eve sleeping over with her fiancé, who's 31, and helps us get toys from Santa built and set up for Christmas morning. We call ourselves Santa's helpers and have a lot of fun with it. This year, she spent the night, and she saw my husband and father disciplining our son. Our son is 13 and likes to ignore us when we ask him to do something, pretend he doesn't know how to do something incredibly simple, slam doors, general teenager sassy behavior. His teachers at school notice it as well, so it's something we're working on at home. Our discipline style is somewhere between tough love and talk it out. Every time a conflict at home arises, my son does the argue/flip out and then run upstairs and slam the door thing. My husband will wait 10 minutes and go upstairs and have a heartfelt, meaningful dialogue with him. This happened on Christmas Eve. He told his 3-year-old sister that Santa wasn't real, and we both immediately told him that wasn't okay, and he started arguing with us. It led to the same typical back and forth. The difference was, my sister and her fiancé were present. Neither of them said anything and went about our usual Christmas Eve routine. Everything seemed fine. Our son apologized and went to bed. Upon his return to school after break, a Child Protective Services worker showed up and pulled him out of class to interview him about how his parents treat him. He told them he loved his parents and that things at home were fine. He expressed that when we discipline him, we sometimes ground him and we take away his electronics for a week, and sometimes he'll argue with us. But he knows that when we discipline, that we do it because we love him and we want him to grow and learn. Now, a little detail about the month of December and its difficulties. I have a seizure disorder. I haven't had a seizure in 10 years. But in the month of December, out of nowhere, I had 3 back to back to back. I was sitting at my neurologist's office preparing an EEG sleep study when I get a call that goes to voicemail from the same CPS worker saying the next day she would be coming to our house to interview us and our 3-year-old. I immediately shared the number and voicemail to my husband and told him to call her back immediately because I couldn't. So the very next day, after an exhausting round of seizure tests, she came over. When she arrived the next day, we got a better picture of the accusations the CPS worker made against us. 1. She claimed my husband was an alcoholic with anger issues. 2. She claimed we were starving our 3 children and had no food in the house. To answer the first accusation, it was Christmas Eve. All of our family was there, drinking eggnog or wine. No one in the house got sloshed except my sister, who drank an entire 18-pack of beer herself that night. We do not have a drinking problem. It was a holiday with family and a delicious meal that I spent all day preparing. My husband doesn't have anger problems whatsoever. We were upset at what our son said to his sister, but not in any way that would justify saying anyone in the house has anger issues. My dad and my husband pulled our son aside to talk to him about it. I really don't understand this one. To answer accusation 2, as the CPS worker toured our house, we showed her our pantry, fridge, and freezer. She literally laughed out loud and said, "There's enough food here to feed everyone in the house for 3 months. We are absolutely not starving our kids at all, and that was obvious right away." When the CPS worker was packing up to leave, she stated, "I'm grateful to be handling a case in a functional home with happy, healthy kids. Usually, it's quite the opposite." Today, she called us back and is closing the case by the end of the day. She doesn't believe any further action is needed and our risk score is low. Upon talking to my parents and brother, we all agree this was for sure my sister based on talking with her themselves, though she didn't outright admit it. We all agree this was the last thing my family needed while dealing with health issues and restructuring our lives and schedules around the reality that I can't drive for 6 months, so I can't work. My husband and I see this as a major betrayal. I'm still reeling from the reality that a family member I've always been so close with and trusted would make such an impulsive, dishonest, and quite frankly, cruel decision like this. I've spent weeks trying to figure out how to confront her, as she's not fully admitted to doing this, but has heavily implied it to everyone who's spoken to her. She went from being overly communicative the day of this interview, demanding I call her and tell her how it went, and in general blowing up my phone, to being silent and not speaking to me for weeks after I told her that it went fine. I believe she knows I assume she did this. I want to have a conversation with her, but I don't know how to do it. I feel betrayed by my sister and incredibly hurt. I don't want to react emotionally, but I do want her to know this was wrong. There's an update to come, but honestly, I'm really surprised OP wants to resolve this, because once someone tries to take your kids away from you, that's like the deal breaker of all deal breakers. How could you ever trust that person around you or your family ever again? All right, on to the update. She ended up reaching out to me and telling me how much she loved me. I responded saying that I had a question to ask, and I needed her to be honest with me. She called me immediately. She opened with saying, "I think you already know the answer if you're asking the question, so yes, it was me." I followed up with, "Do you realize what could have happened to my kids, to me and my husband? Do you realize how bad the outcome of this could have been?" She began to rant and yell. She said me and my husband don't deserve to be parents, that I obviously don't care about my kids because I hadn't even brought them up. Which I literally opened with, "Do you realize what could have happened to my kids?" Literally my first question. I think she was drunk again during this call. She just kept yelling and ranting, and I couldn't get a word in. I kept asking if I could speak, and she wouldn't stop going off. The only words out of my mouth she heard were, "You realize we're going to be taking a very long break from you, right?" And her response was, "I'm sure you will, and I don't care." Then she resumed her ranting. So I calmly told her that if she wasn't going to let me speak, I was going to hang up. At this point, her ranting was incoherent, something about how she cares more about my kids than anyone. I once again calmly stated that I was going to hang up if she wouldn't let me speak. Unfortunately, that's where this phone call ended. I hung up and blocked her immediately and then called our father. I told him the way she was behaving on the phone sounded like she was incredibly unstable and either drunk, having a manic episode, or both. And he should call her just to try to calm her down and get through to her. It sounds like he was going to immediately, though I don't know. I'm devastated and still reeling from this. I knew it was her, but I really wanted the slim chance that it wasn't to be true, even if I knew it was impossible that it wasn't. Hearing her say it sent chills down my spine. She said it so indignantly, like she was proud of her actions, and then devolved into unhinged ranting. Last night, I officially lost my sister. I'll be going no contact from here on out, but my heart is broken. My dad clearly didn't want to believe that it was her either, because I heard his tone change instantly when I said that she admitted it. My dad sounded like he was on the verge of tears, and quite frankly, I don't blame him. She just caused a massive rift in our family. I didn't even get to bring up the accusations. I really would have loved to ask where the hell she came up with the idea that we were starving our kids and that we have no food in the house. My sister has never left our house hungry, and our kids have never gone hungry. I would have loved an answer to that, but never got a word in once she was going off. I also would have loved to ask her about the drunken anger issues thing, because it was clear and on display on the phone last night. She's the one drunk and angry, not my husband. Of course, I would have loved to make that keen observation, but again, I never got to speak once she was going. I have no idea how I feel today, besides heartbroken and numb. I want to thank everyone who commented with words of support and advice. It meant a lot to me and really helped inform how I was going to handle this moving forward. I wish I'd been wrong, but I wasn't. I'm worried because of her reaction on the phone last night that she might retaliate. I have no idea if she will. I hope speaking to my dad maybe helped. I'm a little on edge today and sad, but just hoping to move forward from this in peace. Reading this story, my first theory about this woman's motivation was that she wanted to steal the kids from OP. Now I'm thinking it might be alcoholism, like a alcohol substance abuse problem of some sort. But fortunately, I don't have firsthand experience with alcoholics. So is this something that alcoholics would do? Just make up lies about a happy family just to make up lies? It seems kind of illogical. So maybe it's both. Maybe the alcoholism is fueling her terrible attempt at stealing OP's kids. Our next Reddit post comes from r/vent. My 5-year-old son went missing. My husband and I were cooking dinner when he suddenly realized that our 5-year-old wasn't around, and we hadn't seen him since we chastised him about not wanting to eat dinner. We searched the entire house. After doing 2 solid sweeps, I called 911. We have a pool in our backyard, and the water has gone murky from us not treating it regularly during the winter. The next 45 minutes were absolute hell. We have a 6-month-old that we took turns holding while frantically searching every nook and cranny. I screamed until my voice stopped working. About 30 police cars, several fire trucks, 2 ambulances, and a helicopter ended up at our house. We asked about the helicopter, and they said they were searching the woods behind our house. When I heard them getting the body heat scanner for my pool and requested extra rope, I dropped to my knees in my front yard and screamed like a dying animal. They wouldn't let me in my backyard while they did that. I made my way through the garage, looking in and under every vehicle and surface. When I got to the living room, I heard them say, "We found him." They used the body heat scanner inside after searching the pool, and they found him wedged in between our mattress and headboard covered in pillows, completely asleep. It was a nightmare and the best possible outcome, but my brain is fried. I have no emotions left but to just cry. I don't even know how to feel or sleep. I have a kind of similar story to this. I was watching my 3-year-old daughter while my wife was taking a nap, and I went to the bathroom, and when I came out, my daughter was missing. So of course I call for her, no response. I check the usual places where she likes to spend time, I don't see her. I start to get a little panicky because I can't find her, and the thought crosses my mind that maybe she went outside during those 60 seconds, which is bad because it was extremely cold, and I thought that she could, if she gets lost out there, she would die of hypothermia. So I was panicking like a parent would in that situation, and I called up to my wife to wake her up, and we quickly start searching through the house, and my wife finds her hiding behind a curtain because my daughter decided that while I was in the bathroom, that's the perfect time to start a game of hide and seek. And when she heard me running through the house, panicked and yelling for her, I guess that made her scared and she refused to come out even more. So I guess the moral of the story is that I really ruined my wife's nap. Also, down in the comments, there's a reply that's so good I have to read it. Izzy Jubjub says, a tip I've heard for people who may find themselves in this situation: check the non-obvious deadly locations first and fast. Washing machine, dryer, big locking chests, car trunks, chest freezers. A kid will survive locked in a broom closet or under a bed a lot longer than they will in a deep freeze or a small contained space. That was r/Topposts from Reddit, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.